Hey everybody, welcome back to Play Casket. These are your hosts, Paraka the Goblin, and
Ghost your co-host.
and today we're gonna talk about more of a, I would say more of a serious tone, but not too deep. I think we would probably touch more on a couple more games a little later, but basically mature themes in games that are for everyone, or kids games, or even like some cartoons and such.
Yeah.
And when I'm talking about like mature themes, I'm not talking about somebody's becoming manly or some kind of like passage of youth into adulthood or anything. I'm talking about stuff that is usually taken lightly because it's a cartoon or a friendly game, but when you pull back the cover of it, it's a very deep aspect.
Yeah.
So nothing like about gore or anything like that, but more about
A tone change? The tonal difference?
the tonal difference that you would not expect out of something that when you start looking at it,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually pretty dark
Yeah.
when you think about it, right? I would go ahead and kind of start light and see what you would actually say, because I got one that's going to extend quite a bit.
Okay. I think what gave me the idea for this was AZ from Pokemon X and Y, when he basically destroyed the world there's like a huge Pokemon war, and he had to bring back his Flabébé. You remember?
A little bit. I don't know what Pokemon it was.
Okay. But I was just thinking about that, to how they take death very seriously in the game.
He was more than a meme, guys.
Yeah. Well, I guess X and in X and Y they take death seriously because Pokemon do die in there.
Yeah, I've noticed Pokemon do die, but they never really touch base on how ghost Pokemon happen too. So there's a weird gray area, and they don't take ghost Pokemon directly very seriously.
Yeah.
There's some dark stuff when you look into it. Driftbloom takes kids away. That's all it does. It's they don't even know where it goes. They don't really have a master and all this other stuff. Just wild Driftbloom just whisking children away. Just poof, gone. And at that sense, it's a little darker. That's dark, but that's excessive.
I think the descriptions are a little over the top, though.
Yeah,
I would say.
I'm saying they don't take the ghost Pokemon serious, but some of the tonal story stuff is deeper when you start actually looking past the veil, as it were.
Yeah.
But because Magcargo is supposed to
Melt your face
basically be
off.
so hot,
Yeah.
you're basically looking into the sun because he's glowing hot.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to know what he looks like? You know, stuff like that was just nuts.
But I do like how they take death seriously in the game. Lavender Town, they talk about
Lavender
how serious
Town
it
is probably one of the spookier, darker tones that kind of would be very epitome to that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then what else? I remember them saying you might have killed Blue's Raticate in Red and Blue version.
Oh yeah, that theory. Yeah, that's. I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
It's still more of a theory type of thing.
It's more of a theory, but when you should pull back that theory, you're oh yeah, that is dark. It's very similar to how Five Nights at Freddy's at first was just spooky jump scares because the machines are just kind of kooky that way at night, and they're a little wired that way, until people started making theories about it. And I feel because those theories were better than the developers writing, the developers just rolled with it.
Yeah.
You knew that? Yeah. That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
It wasn't about just wacky, crazy. No, they're demons. No, I feel like that. I feel like there's the theory kind of rolls with that. Pokemon, I think the Pokemon company probably was we're not going to touch that because they didn't think about it and they don't really want to give that tone to it, because if that happens, then they're going to try to probably expect something very blatant like that again.
Yeah. So.
But I think the truth is that the Raticate stats just don't scale as high, so we need to get something more challenging for you as you progress through the game. So they swap them out, because when you think about it, you swap out your character's Pokemon all the time.
Yeah.
So.
But what about his tonal change? His personality is really, really different. He was he was such a prick, and then the second time you see him, he doesn't use his Raticate, and he's more serious this time. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's how you read into text. Like you could read into some of mine. Like every time I text you, you'd read them all serious. But let's be honest, nobody does.
Yeah.
Like, so there's stuff like that. Like my friend, one of my friends would suggest that I basically speak in italics.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, okay.
like stuff like that. So I pretend to be fancy, but that's basically how text reads in video games. You don't know the characters like tone because you don't see any other changes.
Yeah.
You know, but it is a dark theory and it's a very solidified theory type of thing. It's very spooky, kind of like how the Rugrats, all of them were like all passed away, but Angelica is the only one that could talk to them. And
Yeah.
somehow it's because it's all like invisible or something to that point. So it's something to that point, and I was like, that's a little.
Little.
That's dark.
Grasping a little
That's
too hard.
that's grasping too hard, but at the same time, like that's where we would get from that, you know. But I would like to talk about one of my tone ones, and it's actually one that there was another channel called Nightmare Expo. I'm gonna give him props for the fact that he breaks this down a lot more. So if you want to like know more of the dark symbolisms and stuff about this, I would definitely go check it out. But The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, like outside the fact that it is like a darker color, darker tone, and that like there's an imminent death to it, there's multiple dark layers in that you wouldn't expect as a kid.
Yeah.
Like when you think about it, you wouldn't expect, right? And the fact that there's like a 3-day imminent death type of situation, right? When you think about how much you can do in that 3 days for your character as a stealth before you had the power to rewind time constantly, just imagine how little you have to do, you know? So you have to focus on what matters,
Yeah.
you know? And that's something that I don't think Nightmare Expo touches on, but it's the fact that, like, look how many things you had to do in the 3 days. Like, just if you didn't have the ocarina to rewind time again and constantly adjust everything again and again and again, you would not be able to get all the stuff done that you need to be done.
Yeah.
Like, you could probably do one of the dungeons. That's it. You only have one of the giants. You won't be able to save it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just it's like when you think about that, it's very deep. When you don't have that time, you have to focus on what matters. You know, and sometimes that you might not even be able to get to a point where you can save yourself. You know, and like several of the characters like really change like emotionally as time progresses, especially on the final day. One of them is like this cocky swords player, right? He's the one that teaches you all the skills and stuff, and he talks about cleaving the moon in two, and you'll have all this power, and then on the final day, he's just fucked off.
Yeah.
And you don't know where he's at, right? Like you could try to track down just about everyone in the game by the final day, but he's actually hiding behind one of his statues, and you go in, it's a secret room, and he's hiding in the cowering in the corner. So all that was just bluster, right?
Yeah.
And there's other people that are basically embracing the death, and there's people who, like, when you finally piece them together, there's a couple that you make them finally like admit their love and stuff, and they're just willing to finally accept death, but you keep rewinding time, and none of that really happened to them. And when you start thinking about it, like, you know so many things that are about to happen, and they have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
Like that's weirdly deep, right? Well, on top of that, like there's a ending that people are suspecting, like the fact that like you go and you defeat Majora's Mask and all that stuff. You have to save Termina, right? Finally, you save Termina, all this stuff, credits roll, and then you start back to day one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So you're in a perpetual. You didn't save Termina.
Yeah.
You're at day one.
Yeah. Because
And
then, I remember them saying too that most Zelda games, like if you load the game again, you're just in front of the boss getting ready to fight again. But in this one, you start at day
You're
one
done.
again.
You start at day one.
Yeah.
Right. So mechanically, when you think about it, if you played other games, like, oh, I get it. I'm at this boss again.
Yeah.
You know, but when you think about it, they never just start you all the way back to day one.
Yeah.
They don't just put you in a town at the beginning of everything that's gonna go to hell.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like theory that you made a deal, basically with a symbolic devil in the Masked Salesman, in order to become human again, because you were cursed to become a Deku. You basically are in a constant state of constantly saving this town over and over and over again, just like every townsperson living their same 3 days over and over and over again.
Yeah.
You are now in the same state everyone else is in. And that is a very heavy thing when you think about it for a game that's pretty much a kid's game.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be follow up to one of the greatest defeat all dark evils type of story ever, right? And it was just a heavy game. When you like start pulling back all the like elements, and like again, I'm gonna say this again, Nightmare Expo does do a pretty damn good job breaking that whole thing down.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would recommend if people are into that type of stuff. He does break down a lot of that one.
Okay. Well, I've never played Majora's Mask. Don't hate me.
That's why you're the dead one, and I still live.
Maybe I'll pick it up on. Is it on 3DS right now?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, is there a next one?
Yeah.
Bring a Switch. Bring a Switch.
Bring all of them to the Switch.
Yes.
Put them all. It's Zelda's 30th anniversary. Bring all 30 games to Switch.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Yeah.
I also remember when I was watching you guys play Mario Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like how they treat the bad guys seriously in that one too, because
Are we talking about like the final bosses or just in general?
more of like, was it the bosses per stage, right? The boss fights,
Yeah, there's a boss per level
because
or world per se.
yeah, because it shows that you know, like he beats the shit out of them. It's hilarious, and even in a world where everything's so politically correct, like I like how Mario still keeps his ability to kick ass, because sometimes you can't just talk things out. You know, when you're faced with real tyrants, you're gonna have to fucking throw down.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why I think like a lot of the political climate right now is just a bunch of brouhaha, like kabuki theater to me.
Luxury
like
politics.
It's luxury. That's exactly what I think it is. But yeah, no, that's and Nintendo's always kept that same kind of like formula, and it's layered out so kids can still enjoy it. Like you still have to beat evil.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna talk evil into being good.
Yeah.
Not everything's an anime that needs to fill out multiple seasons.
Yeah.
So not all the bad guys are gonna side with you after you get beaten and understand where you're coming from. No, there's a lot of people who are bad. There are a lot of enemies who are bad in video games, and you beat the crap out of them. You know?
Yeah.
You have to basically it's like, what's the point in raising a dragon slayer in an age not full of dragons?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's something to that point. And
because I remember because it just brings me back to Clownfish TV when they were talking about Steven Universe, and yeah, they killed they killed somebody and then they brought them back as if it was of no consequence. Like, no, you killed them. You're gonna have to deal with it.
Oh, yeah. And while we're on the topic of cartoons, like on the completely polar opposite, when we were kids, The Brave Little Toaster.
Yeah, that's brutal.
The most brutal one, when it peels away, when you pull away a lot of the frantic fun stuff like that, the darkest part of that was when they were in the compactor area and they started breaking out in the song. All these trucks and stuff were talking about all their lives and how they had lived and stuff, and they're just getting crushed. Like, boom, they're dead, they're gone, but they're basically making they're like accepting their end in these songs. And when you start listening to it and stuff, like, oh wow, that's something. It's not pulling any punches and trying to like lightly code it a little bit, but because it's a cartoon and then they're all singing and dancing while obviously everybody's like scared and stuff, so you have to feel like, oh, there's a danger here.
Yeah. But
when you start listening to them and understanding where they're at and how they got there and stuff, like, oh,
yeah,
okay, that's some that and they don't just get compacted and they come out and they're like little squares singing or anything. Once they're compacted, they're gone. They're done. That's it. They ain't. They're not Tex Avery cartoons where Wile E. Coyote can just use a little pump and pop them back up into a new car. No, they're gone.
Yeah.
And like when you look back at it, like that's pretty heavy for what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the heaviest out there. I mean, there's a certain Watership that goes down that's a little much darker than that, but the tone is just it's an inevitability to see that you can't take back. It's like it's an impressive one.
I don't know, like 90s Disney stuff had some really good stuff too, I think.
Some yes or no. I think some of it is because some of the animators kind of slipped some into it, but because the producers were very strict too. But there was always a little bit of like casualty and stuff like that up until like late 90s until something else is going on, like an imminent threat's coming, not the fact that you not deal with a casualty.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with your dad just dying because somebody betrayed him and it was a family member. It's not just, I saw my father die, I must avenge him, or anything like that to that point. Black Cauldron is a huge one with a lot of those dark undertones. Like, it was one of the ones where Disney was like, nope, we're going to make something a lot more darker and a lot more adult. And then when Disney started leaning back the other direction, like, no, we're friendly, because I guess it didn't take off because kids were getting nightmares.
Oh, okay. I've never seen it before, actually. Black Cauldron?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll look that up.
It was one that was it was made on my birth year, and that's why I know about it, because it didn't come out again until much later.
Oh, wow.
And it was because it was one of those, like, parents were very frustrated with it because it was giving kids nightmares and stuff, because it was intentionally
Cowards.
a dark tonal one.
Yeah.
And that was stuff I used to watch. I remember when I was 5 watching the Lord of the Rings animated show.
Yeah.
That stuff was awesome.
Well, because in this world there is real evil. Like, it just frustrates the hell out of me how, like, you're not going to prepare your kids when you tell them, the world's going to be safe, everything's going to be fine.
As long as you do what you believe in, you will always succeed. Trust in the heart of the stars, of the cards, of the weird wizards that promise you empty promises that if you ever be just yourself, you will succeed. Into the greatest imagination, you will fall in love with a prince, own a castle, and tracts of land and gold and Mars and lots of slavery if you wish, because that's what we are.
And then you get
and
corrupted.
That's the great thing.
Yeah.
Join us at Disneyland. But no, yeah, that's.
But you gotta prepare your kids, because they're gonna
definitely
grow up,
getting political in this one.
Yeah, people will grow up bitter and corrupted and resentful. Jordan Peterson, I love Jordan Peterson.
We're just this sounds like an episode we're just plugging everyone else's YouTube right now, which is stupid, because I'm pretty sure like everyone else that's listening to us knows of these people.
Yeah,
so
hopefully
we're the little crabs underneath the rocks right now. Like, please pay attention to us.
Well, so speaking of Jordan Peterson too, he talks about the Pinocchio, yeah, and that was one of the ones where it was like, it's really lighthearted, and then you get to the donkey scene. Where his friend turns into a donkey. Yeah. Holy shit, that was terrifying. The first time I saw it as a kid.
When I was a kid, I was confused by it, but at that point in time, I probably have watched RoboCop twice, so I was already desensitized. Not saying that I'm cooler or anything like that, but my reaction was probably just way different, because I don't even remember my reaction, but it feels like I didn't really have that much of a amazing impact with that. Like, I liked Bambi. Mm-hmm. Like, apparently when I was a kid, I just watched a gigaton of Bambi.
Oh, okay.
Drove my mom nuts. But no, that's like, and that even had some dark tones in it.
Yeah. Because
that was before they started leaning back. We're family friendly, and then everything became hyper sensitive over making sure it's very family friendly, making sure kids don't understand the tones. But
corporate trash.
Kids
corporate
are 5
trash.
years old. Kids don't understand what tones are. They only know 3 different colors.
Well, I don't know. I think I think you got to treat your audience. Your audience is smarter than you think. That's also another thing too.
Well, when you think about it too, like look at several YouTube channels that have Breath of the Wild like in cryptic lore breakdowns and stuff. None of that's directly mentioned in video games.
Yeah.
None of it.
Yeah.
But they break it down. Go, this could be a possibility. There's even stuff about a mobile game. We talked about this in several episodes ago. Brawl Stars that I liked, right? I touched up on it before. There is an ARG that talks about actually like what's behind all this. This game's like this huge, clashy, MOBA style game that you just like have arena fights with. And apparently there's lore going on in the background that all these people are being brainwashed every single day to be stuck in a time loop because this company found some kind of breakdown on how to break the space-time continuum and lock themselves in a weird time loop, so they just constantly have to brainwash these people over and over again. And yes, that is literally a thing for Brawl Stars. You look at it like, no, Paraka's being fucking stupid and making crazy ideas. No, seriously, if you look up Brawl Stars lore, you're going to find a lot of people breaking that stuff down, and that stuff's really heavy to digest.
Well, I guess if you want to do another one with lore, Splatoon is like that too.
Yeah,
How it's like,
we'll probably touch up on that a lot more of that.
Yeah.
I would like to talk more about the Brawl Stars one a little bit. That one's
Okay.
that one's kind of that one's lengthy, but stuff like that, right?
yeah,
But like I'm just gonna touch a little bit on it too. Like it's not just like everyone games, not just child games. I'm gonna make a disclaimer here that there is some mature games, like games that are usually mature rated, usually gets advertised differently. It's,
yeah,
games that have a lot of gore and guns and stuff like that, they do advertise to kids. They have like discounts and like promos and stuff that are dedicated to the toys and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Try to get more kids to play them. That's because obviously they're hoping that kids just are the ones that are fanatic about Call of Duties and stuff like that.
Start them off young. Yeah,
Yeah, that's basically what it is, right? But there is those type of themes and tones, and even though I don't really like the series, God of War had some pretty decent tones early on. I don't know much about the most recent one, so I can't say much about it. But the fact that he has to deal with loss, it like they do it with in a very human way with a dude who's practically a god killer.
yeah.
So that's interesting, right?
Well,
Like he's handling it with very aggressive way, but
Well, they keep the Greek tragedy consistent, at least up until 2. 3 just kind of like goes full hog and becomes like this weird
angry ape.
It becomes this weird action
Yeah.
movie. So
Yeah, but there's, in contrast to that, Gears of War had the same kind of loss, but you're just a grizzled veteran, and they're like, oh, I lost my family. Why aren't you sad, gamer?
yeah,
Feel sad. Like, that's basically what it feels like with Gears, right? But there's those tones everywhere. I'm saying that there's a lot of hidden ones and a lot of stuff that you would not expect it as much.
yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. That's just kind of making a disclaimer on that.
Okay.
But I would say like that's something we would probably put a little pin in today, and we'll probably talk more on the lore stuff on another episode in the future.
Okay.
But I would like to thank you all for listening. If you like our content, please go ahead and please hit that like button and hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. And hopefully we'll see you on the other side. Hey everyone, this is Paraka.
And Ghost.
I would like to say thank you for listening to our podcast.
If you like our content, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe and share our video with your friends.
You can also follow and support us on other social media such as Minds and Rumble. Links in the description below.